Yo, supersize it for me, fam. What is going on? BN, we're back again today for another dope sauce Infinity Kingdom video, and today we're going to be discussing the Lightning composition guide. We're going to be walking through early free-to-play, late pay-to-win, and then Dragon skill order recommendations. So strap in, get your Sunny D, hashtag Boy Shadow, and we're going to go ahead and talk about where you can go with this element comp. So starting off initially, we'll talk about early free-to-play. So early free-to-play, pretty straightforward here. You're going to be running a Boji for your backline, is the recommendation. And then you're also going to complement a Boji with Constance. If I can find where her face is, right here, lovely. Bowman backline. And then for frontline, you're going to go Bedivere for your Cav front, which gives you a little bit of diversity from running also William, which is going to be Spearman front. This is going to make out your early free-to-play recommendation right now, because again, there's not too many immortals per each element, so some of these composition choices are pretty straightforward. Then we'll get into late free-to-play. Now, late free-to-play, this is where you're able to at least get 3 of the epics unlocked for free-to-play, which is nice. Again, it's going to take a little while to actually get all of them skilled and leveled up, but the fact that you can get 3 epics is nice. So first is going to be Richard, that you'll be able to get here for your frontline. And then you're going to run Peter in conjunction with him for frontline. And then, which again is nice because you have the Shieldman and Spearman, so you're not doubling up as well on unit types. YSG you'll run back, and then a Boji here you'll run back, right? So this will kind of make up your 4 that you're going to run for late free-to-play. And again, keep in mind, all of these immortals so far are able to be accessed in the market as well for purple after you unlock from Hall of Immortals. Now, let's talk about late game pay to win. So for the spenders, right, you're pretty much going to run the first 3 with the exception of a Boji. Again, there are another adjustment here as far as for Peter and Richard, and we'll talk about that in a moment. So basically, you're just going to replace a Boji here with Genghis. And as I have to scroll down to find this luscious beard of a man. So, right, the first great con, Genghis will basically be running backline with YSG. Now, keep in mind, Genghis you would be accessing from special bundles, right? So you're going to go to... Where is it here? Yeah, here we go. So, a Grand Promotion, right, which is the $99.99 deal, or once the limited monthly Epic Immortal Return event comes back, then you can also get Genghis from there. But again, you got to pay at least $99.99 to get the unlock, and then Genghis is only going to be showing up in green gems for you as well. So that is just something to note. And then, in addition to that, right, if you wanted to, let's say, run El Cid, for example, right, you can do that through daily deals if you want to get El Cid here. And then also El Cid shows up in the wheel. So the wheel event that happens. And I also want to give a shout out to my boy Halifa, which again is one of the people like Abuse Panda who does do a lot of like the data gathering work on the official IK Discord. He was kind enough to share some data with me for 15 immortals that do show up on the wheel event, and again El Cid being one of them. So now whether that shows up for 30 shards or 5 shards, you also will have the opportunity to do the unlock, right, and then he'll show up for green gems in the market. Now outside of that, this is where some of the flex picks are going to come into play. Mainly for whether or not you want to run Richard or if you want to run El Cid. Right? Now, some people think that El Cid may not be that good as far as from what some commentary that I've heard from some other players. What I would say is let's just take a look at the skills real quick. So El Cid reduces physical damage inflicted on your front row by 9%, right? This goes up to 30. And when they are targeted by normal attacks, there's a 65% chance of inflicting physical damage on the enemy, which can go up to 100%, right? So the 65%, 2/3, give or take, is a flat rate. Now, looking at Richard, as we scroll up to compare, inflicts physical damage on enemy targets within a certain range. Damage rate goes up to 170, and it has a 32 but up to 40% chance of stunning them so they cannot move or recover energy. Okay, so you basically are opting for two here. You're either going to go with Richard, who is more CC focused, where you'll be able to get hopefully more stuns off, depending on how many opportunities he'll have to use his skill, 2 to 3 we'd average, right, where you're going to be able to delay the energy recovery. And then also where they cannot move, and I don't know if that also factors in, which I would imagine to auto attacks when they have the wording like that, right? So you're going to go CC Richard, or you're going to go reduce El Cid, right? Because again, El Cid is reducing that damage that your front row is going to be taking. So for example, you might run El Cid as a flex. Now I do like running Richard as the default. I think El Cid comes into a flex pick if you're going up against, someone who's outputting really high damage, right? So again, if you have someone who's doing, who has like a high physical auto attack, or if you have someone who's doing like a high physical skill damage, then, and that's the opponents that you're going up against, you may consider running El Cid because they would probably pay off more dividends for you in the long run than someone like Richard would. Right, so just keep in mind these are some examples that of why you would want to use El Cid versus Richard, and then of course vice versa. Right, so some of these are going to be, and again, hopefully once they introduce more immortals over time, you'll start getting more of these kind of counter adaptation based picks. But I think this is just one example of how you could utilize someone like El Cid, whereas some people feel that he just might not necessarily be as up to par going up with someone like Richard for a pick. Now let's talk about Dragon skill order choices. So for Dragon skill order choices, this is pretty easy for me, and I'm going to explain why, because there is a little bit of specifics and details on why you would want to do it this way. So my recommended order is going 1, 2, 3. Pretty simple for this one. Why? 1, because of the fact that this is your true damage skill, and if you get any stuns off for any of your immortals, right, which again, Richard does a stun, William does a silence, Peter does a dispel. Right, so again, you have one person where the skill actually reads as stun, but as long as you get that stun off, right, which again, Richard with his 40%, right, again, you still have an okay chance of doing it. I would imagine they'll probably eventually release more Lightning Immortals that specifically have the stun skill, as far as how it reads, so that way it would be applied to this, right, even if it's just one more. So again, right, you have a little less than half a chance, right, for each time the skill is procced, right, to hit it, but mainly it's really going into the first skill, right? You have to hope that Richard, in this situation, would hit his stun, right, in order to get the double damage. Otherwise, it's just going to go here. But still, regardless, it's true damage. So it's not going to be reduced by anything, right? So a good example of this would be, let's say... and again, this is just an IE example, but let's say you're running someone like El Cid on the enemy team, right? True damage would bypass any buffs or debuffs that an immortal could proc, right? Or even if it's a support skill, right? True damage bypasses that. So I do like this for that reason. Even if you put a shield up, for example, right? You look at someone like Charles, who would put a shield up on his units, right? True damage would bypass that and go right towards HP. It wouldn't get a reduction and then be applied. So again, I like leveling up the first skill. The reason I like the second skill, and I take the second skill over the third skill, is because of a few reasons. One, because in order for these to stack, your immortals have to apply a debuff. And as we just mentioned, right, you have 5 Lightning Immortals with William for Silence, Peter for Dispel, Richard for his chance at stun, Genghis for wound, and then a Boji for magical defense reduction, right? Now the assumption is that wound and magical defense reduction would also act as a debuff. It would be nice if they detailed that. Like, it'd be nice if they had something like, oh, here's a list of immortals where the effects apply towards this. So again, this is a soft assumption on those two, based on them technically basically being debuffs. So you have 5 immortals. The challenge here, right, is that if, let's say you're pay to win, well, 3 of these immortals you're probably going to run. If you're late game free to play, then still, right, 3 to 4 of these immortals, right, you're probably going to run. So you still have a good chance of them proccing. It's just, again, not all of them are 100% guaranteed. So for me, right, and then you also have to consider that for some of them, you have to still get the unlock. For others, you have to level them up to where the percentage rate is a little bit higher, right? And for just kind of free-to-play, that might be a little more difficult. So what I would say is this, right? If I leave one caveat here on the Dragon skill order is if you're maybe considering going a little more pay-to-win and you're unlocking faster, then maybe you can make the argument of going 1-3-2 for here. Otherwise, I like the 1, 2, 3. Also, I like 2 because you can get it up to 90%, right? So, right, even though, right, which means the chance that it's going to reduce, right? So you could have, it starts off basically at 50. You can get it up to 90, where you have a 90% chance of reducing the normal attack damage of 3 random enemy units by 70. 70% is a lot. 12 seconds is a long time too as well. So again, 90%, I mean, you almost have a near guarantee of the second skill activating every time, right? And so again, I think this is a really big benefit for going skill 2 second always. But again, a case could be made for going the 1, 3, 2 option, where you would go skill 3 as your second choice. But again, guys, look, that's my opinion on Lightning, giving you some recommended picks per the 3 different types and tiers that you would go in with, whether it be the early, the late free-to-play, or the late pay-to-win, along with the Dragon skill loader. I would love to know what you think, right? Do you like going skill 2 second or skill 3 second, right? Do you have a different Dragon order skills that you've used that you find to be efficient, right? Do you level them one by one? Do you level them one level at a time and kind of level them up together? Right? Have you found maybe different composition picks, right? Have you found different uses for El Cid or Richard, depending on who you want to use, kind of in that late game pay-to-win comp, or even for the late free-to-play? Let me know anything and everything down in the comments below. And that's it for me. As always, I hope you all enjoyed, and until next time, we'll see y'all later.